this podcast, we cover sensitive subjects such as abuse, suicide, self-harm, depression, and other difficult topics. We are not medical professionals. We suffer from our own mental health issues. Our opinions should not be taken as medical advice. Dred the Stigma is for educational purposes and awareness for mental health only.
All right, and welcome to the Dred the Stigma podcast, episode 11. They're coming far and few in between. We've just been so busy, well, you have. I have not been nearly as busy as you from, you're doing some pre-production behind the work scenes.
We're doing a lot of stuff too, so stop.
It was honestly a little too much, and I think for my own peace of mind, I was doing some pre-production stuff. I just had to step away and just concentrate on my character. And that's why really that and internet issues, and I hope right now I got full signal. But we'll see how it goes. I think Lydia and myself both kind of needed this little break. I don't mean to speak for you, Lydia, but yeah, and especially with the topic, because with my current situation, I think mentally spiraling. It's not as simple, I've learned, as what people think. It's not just, oh, here I go, I'm getting depressed. There's actually like steps, and you can step in and intervene in that spiraling, in that descent. You don't have to hit the bottom of that, which can be dangerous. As we're going to talk about. So, of course, we're going to talk about what the F is spiraling, and then we're going to talk about how to deal with it. Ways like CBT, which you've heard mentioned on the podcast quite a few times, is very good for helping to slow your mind down and come back to the moment. Mindfulness and things of that nature. So we'll discuss a little bit of that, but what in the world is spiraling?
I don't know. What is it?
Don't know. What's that?
I was, you know how there's like that thing where they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, how many? Oh, this is a terrible explanation. But I was just like, oh, what is it?
Oh, no, I think I know what you're talking about.
And
it was
now
like,
blah,
blah,
myself.
blah. I had X amount of, and they're like, how many did he have? It's almost like a...
That's what I was going for.
That was the thing they did in the 70s. Yeah.
I just not having a good day. Or we.
So, I know, right? It has been a crazy year for me, and I have done a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight, and that being spiraling. It's not what a lot of people think it is. It is a lot more than just being in a bad mood. Or just having a bad day. Of course, like a lot of mental illness, there are a lot of triggers that can take and set that spiraling off or start a panic attack. uh, to get a manic episode. And those triggers are what you would normally think they would be. The finances, issues at work, your everyday stressors, things that we go through all the time. Well, we can't avoid. And you have kids, so you can't really avoid them. These are things, you got to go to work. So you have to white knuckle through this. And white knuckling through spiraling is absolutely, it's almost impossible. Thank you, Facebook user, for being here. I appreciate you guys. What's
I like the one
Go ahead.
on one of the sites you had sent me. It says it's a bit like being stuck on a merry-go-round of doom, where
Yes.
each rotation brings you deeper into a whirlpool of distress.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, it's that ever-going hamster wheel,
Yeah.
you get stuck going, and that's it, and nothing is taking you out of it. Nothing is making you go faster. Nothing is making you go slower. You're just stuck.
Yeah.
Over and over.
And the thing is as I was, reading, a lot of that spiraling comes from maladaptive coping skills that you have kind of gotten yourself into. I was just talking about this with Mrs. Dreads, that a lot of my coping skills, my two main ones were self-harm and alcohol. And of course, with the BPD, the alcohol, a lot of times brought about the self-harm. I don't forgot where I was going there.
I know
That's how I've been, man. This is unreal.
I was using alcohol for a long time to, cope and make myself feel better, and it was becoming a real problem. I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic, but then again, don't all alcoholics say that? But I just one day decided, I was like, you know what? I don't like the way I feel when I'm drinking. And I just decided that was it. And that was last May. And self-harm, I already am like really super self-conscious of my scars, because I feel like that's the first thing anybody notices about me when they meet me.
Mhm.
I know I was filming one time and my arm was like laid out on the floor, and instead of being in the moment and acting, all I could think of was, that camera's on my arm, that camera's on my arm. Everyone is going to see, everyone is going to see. And that's all I could think of. And it's been since last May, apparently, was like a big deal for me, apparently, in quitting things. And I haven't done that since last May. But man, the last couple of weeks, I have really, really wanted to.
Yeah. That's definitely a double-edged sword. But I think I think I remember where I was going with all of that. We get into these
Ruts.
ruts of bad coping skills. And that also, because you were speaking of just this vicious cycle, just the hamster wheel, you are already in that with the bad thoughts and with the bad coping skills, that you are very, very much more susceptible to getting caught in that downward spiral. Because, for me, and I'm sure when, if that this happens with anybody else, those intrusive thoughts, when something stressful comes about, oh my God, what did I do in a past life?
Not even stressful thoughts, like stupid things. Like
Yeah.
I know this is gonna sound so stupid. Um, so yesterday there was emo karaoke going on. It was like a event. And I was
Okay.
like, "Oh my god, I really wanna go, I really wanna go." Um, and I had posted, um, I was like, "Oh, does anybody wanna go with me, like, in my local group or whatever?"
Hmm.
And I didn't get one comment, not one, like or anything, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, nobody likes me. I have no friends." I'm like, "Why do I even bother?"
Hmm.
Because I'm like, "If I can't even get someone to hang out with me for one night, like, what am I even doing? Like, who nobody likes me, you know?"
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that it just goes there.
I I'm always, I feel as if I'm always on that proverbial edge. Uh and it usually only takes, one thing, maybe a coworker, says something smart, and then next thing I'm thinking about physical confrontations that will probably never happen. And I get myself so amped up. I'm already kind of, in that fight or flight all the time. So I'm always tense, amped up. It's why my days off, as I was telling you, I just sleep all the time. I don't have the energy for anything.
Mhm.
It's not just like going to a 9 to 5 and coming home and being tired from that. No, there's a lot of other things that are influencing me being tired, and that being one of them. There are different aspects to spiraling. As I try to get back on track, it's been a while since we've done this, so I'm hoping I still remember. We've
Yeah,
got
better than
cognitive.
me.
I'm sorry.
Said you're doing a lot better than me.
Oh, we got cognitive spiraling, and that's where your thoughts just run amok. No way to kind of put your finger on anything. Emotional spiraling, and that's where your feelings intensify and you begin to be overwhelmed. Behavioral spiraling, that's where your actions become increasingly maladaptive. And often all these types of spiraling overlap and kind of create the perfect storm of psychological distress. Out of those, you experienced all of those, one of those? I think I've experienced all of them at one time.
I
It feels like,
I would say all of them, yeah.
especially the increasingly maladaptive actions. Um,
I try to explain to people, like, when I start to go like, when I know I'm going into, like, a deep depression or whatever, and
mhm,
they're like, "Well, what happened? Like, what's wrong?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It literally just feels like something clicks in my brain,
mhm.
and it's like, we're not gonna be happy right now. We're not gonna be anything right now."
Yeah,
And it it's very difficult to click it back.
it really is. That's how it will be for me. My current living situation has just been chaos and house hunting and going through all that. And I'll go to sleep like, hey, I gotta you just got to roll with the punches. It's not really anything I can do about this. Now, that positive affirmation, you're going to get through it and this and that.
I'm going
And
to
I
get up
think
tomorrow and I'm going to take care of these things that I've been,
exactly.
that, are only going to take a few minutes and I'm going to do that.
And just the other day, I woke up and I was like, yeah, I'm joking around, getting ready for work. I sit down, and it only took, one thought. It's like, why haven't we heard back from such and such a house? Boom, right on down the spiral I go. That
Mhm.
fucking quick. Within 15 minutes, I was like depressed. I was like, ugh. I didn't want to go to work. I went to work. I didn't want to go. I mean, just everything just, took a downward spiral just from one thought, like you were talking earlier. It doesn't take a lot. And to speak on where, people say, what happened? Or what's wrong? Two very common knee-jerk, I think, responses when a loved one is depressed, down. Um, Mrs. Dreads has, asked the same thing. It's just common. And a lot of times I have to give them the same response that you gave. I don't know. I don't know. I just woke up like this. I can't put my finger on what's wrong. I just feel like you said, like a switch just went off in my head, and everything sucks now.
Mhm.
I can't see the light in anything. And I think that just having those types of things happen, spiraling, I think, makes it even worse because it makes it once you start spiraling, you can stop it, as I mentioned. You can take and step in and intervene, but it is 10 times harder to take and do it while you're spiraling. Let me take a
Especially
drink of
because
my
when,
good, you're going. I need to refuel.
um, like when you're spiraling too, like you are in such a negative headspace, so you're only thinking negative, which then puts you even deeper.
Yeah.
And, you know, you always look for things that, oh, what's going to help my depression, and you know therapists and psychologists and everything are like, well, why don't you try and change your mindset? Okay, let's see how that goes.
Yeah.
Oh, guess what, life still sucks.
I know. I mean, it is as yes, these quickly hit us out of nowhere, from a simple phrase to a smell to whatever, just like how PTSD works. Any little thing could trigger a PTSD flare up.
Hmm.
Uh, Thank you, Facebook user, and thank you for being here. And you can't just snap out of it. Yes, it comes on very quickly, but you don't get out of it that quickly. um
And also, spiraling doesn't just affect people that have been diagnosed with a mental
mm-mm,
health
mm-mm,
disorder. Like it's often associated with the disorders like anxiety and depression,
yeah,
but anyone can deal with this. It's not just for those suffering. It's literally everybody. It could affect everybody.
yeah, it is not. That's a good point, because it is not specific to those. I think it is more common,
Yeah.
um, you know, for those who are suffering with mental illness, only because we got our foot in the door already. A lot of times with the negative thoughts and the maladaptive behaviors,
We're
we're already there.
predispositioned.
Yeah, we get a head start in that race. But what's really going on up there? I'm actually using a article from neurolaunch.com as some of my referencing here. What is going on in your brain? Why does this happen to us, Lydia? Cognitive processes play a huge role. Our brains are fantastic pattern recognition machines. And that's going back to what I was saying earlier, because once we get into those patterns, it can be quite difficult to get your mind back to get out of those patterns, which those patterns are great for survival, that fight or flight, I guess. But sometimes that superpower backfires. When we're spiraling, our minds start connecting dots that aren't really there, creating catastrophic narratives out of thin air. It's like your brain is an overzealous conspiracy theorist seeing sinister plots in every major setback. That right there was a perfect, I think, for
I think
me.
that's one of the greatest lines I've ever heard.
That was such a great way to take and describe that, because we're in an age of conspiracy theorists and all of that, and I was one of them, not gonna lie, but
And
you
even
know,
like, oh, they didn't text me back. They don't want to be
yeah,
my friend. They don't want to talk to me.
yeah,
Why am I even trying?
yeah, yeah, and yeah, that happens all the time. Happens all the time with me. They
Oh, I
don't.
didn't I didn't get invited, but I see the other people there. Oh,
Yeah,
so I must be, the Debbie Downer and I'm not good enough to hang out with them.
yeah, and my deal sometimes, and I can't even believe I'm admitting to this, but at the distribution center that I work at, there's a lot of younger guys. I think I'm the oldest one. I'm even older than, you know, all my supervisors. So I'm the old man on the block, but my head, people don't realize my head is still like 20 years old. That's how I think. It's how my humor is. I'm 20 years old again inside of a 52-year-old body. And I'm like, man, because all these young guys, they got their little cliques. I talk to some of them, I hang out, we tell jokes, whatever, but they'll be over there and I'm sitting there like, nobody's talking to me. Oh yeah,
Right?
you're the fucking old guy. Nobody wants to fucking talk to the old guy.
Or when you start to like respond to something that they brought up and you get
Yeah,
like a few words out and then they just continue talking amongst themselves
I
and
know.
you're like, okay, well, why am I even trying to bother like get them trying to be your friend or something? Like, why am I
Yeah.
even bothering? I can't even get a sentence out. So then you just sit back by yourself.
Right.
At
Yeah,
least
I
that's
guess
how
I'll
it
just
works
go
for
over
me.
here and go fuck myself. Um, and that can start something that simple, can start that spiraling. Um,
It even happens in your brain.
in your brain.
Well, so neurologically speaking, spiraling involves some of the brain regions.
Yeah,
So,
they do.
including the um, I don't want to say because all I'm going to think of is Adam Sandler and the Water Boy,
A water
the,
boy,
the
yes.
Abdullah Ablangada.
Blagada.
Um, but to be serious, so that's our emotional alarm system. And then the prefrontal cortex is our rational thinking center. Something
Yep.
is definitely wrong with mine.
Ditto.
So when we go into these spirals, the I can't say oblongata without saying dula before it. The oblongata starts to go into overdrive, uh, while the prefrontal cortex, so the one that's in charge of your rational thinking, struggles to keep up with that.
Yeah.
So if your rational thinking center can't even keep up with your emotions, then how are you ever going to get out of a spiral? So
Right.
the
And
analogy,
it feels so hopeless, and you feel helpless because those emotions are running a hell of a lot higher than your rational thing. It's crazy.
yeah, they give the analogy that your brain's fear center is shouting through a megaphone, while your logic is just trying to whisper.
Keep it down.
Your thoughts are too loud. Thank you, Facebook user. We
Thank
don't know
you.
who you are. If you want to leave your name when you comment, but we appreciate you watching. But yeah.
I have to make a deal with the dog real quick.
Oh.
Yes. Thank you, Facebook user. Thank you for being here. Not sure who you are, but we're grateful for you as well. Yeah. So I mean, you don't have to be, a neurosurgeon to understand these things and what's going on there. I mean, like you said, you get two parts of the brain. One's on high, the other one's on low. One can't take all of the things going on, and then you're reacting on emotion, and that's not good.
So we had talked about you don't have to have these disorders to suffer, but I'm not a scientist. I would assume the numbers are pretty high that those that suffer from it are suffering from it.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like the chicken and the egg. Does spiraling contribute to having a mental health disorder, or does having a mental health disorder make you more prone to spiraling?
Yes. Interesting.
Probably
I
a
think we'd
little
have
bit
to.
of both.
Right. I think we'd have to look at exactly, the numbers for those who have not been diagnosed and have had instances of spiraling. But if I was to guess, even though you can spiral, oh look, came out with a damn towel on her head.
Oh.
No doubt that somebody who has not been diagnosed can spiral. But my opinion is I think mental illness being the chicken and the or whatever it was.
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think you're relating the chicken to being a mental health disorder and the egg being that of which comes from the chicken.
Yes. And I think that actually the mental health comes and then that perpetuates the spiraling. Now, I'm not saying that if you don't have that or you don't have a diagnosed mental illness, and I say diagnosed because self-diagnosing is, I think, very prevalent among those diagnosed with mental health issues. I've caught myself self-diagnosing. I got a list longer than most therapists have given me. I'm on chapter 2, the DSM-5. Got most of them.
But then that's a lot of psychology students, when they are obviously going through this, their teachers have even stated that most of them start saying that they are suffering from these disorders, even though they've shown no issue, nothing, just from like reading about them. So don't read about so many.
I know, I do that. But yeah, my meds doctor has told me the same thing. He also told me to watching a lot of like true crime. On a lot of cases, he was like, because that could in fact raise you. Because I lay up at night like, what was that noise? All right, what am I going to do if somebody tries to get into this window? How am I going to react? Blah, 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 blah. I'm coming up with solutions to problems that probably will not happen. But hey, if there's a 10% chance, I'm going to.
Yeah, I always think, I'm like, oh, if my house sets on fire, what would I do? And I'm like, I would
Yeah.
grab a laundry basket and start putting all the stuff I need in it and running
Yeah.
out the door.
Yeah.
Um, but we keep talking about spiraling and spiraling, and I'm sure everyone's spiral is not the same.
No.
How would you describe your spirals?
Mine, and let me because I have this graphic that I want to throw up. It probably will cover us here. As we're talking about the spiraling on the right there, the downward. I think, I don't know, now that I look at this, I'm thinking I don't hit all of these at least very long. I go very quickly.
That was my
Wow.
bad. I was trying to get the picture
Oh,
to the side
both
of
of
us, and
us
I
on it.
I hit the wrong button, so I'm sorry. Continue.
Oh no, you're fine. Oh, wait a minute. No. All right,
Yep,
never.
no idea.
I don't know. But yeah, and it's funny that it kind of starts with boredom. But mine usually gets right down to worry. I will feel the other ones, but I usually go right down to worry. And then very quickly do I hit the bottom there, the grief, depression, guilt, uh, jealousy, not really, the hatred, the rage, revenge. Yes, I hit all of them, but it seems like it happens quickly. I mean, does this happen quickly with you when you start? Do you find that you're going to, the bottom of that spiral quickly, or do you have,
Like a day
do you
leading up
take
to
some
it.
time with those?
I feel like mine go up and down so much. It's like I get into such a depression where I don't want to talk. I can't like I literally don't feel like I can speak depressed, and then I I just get so angry,
Yeah,
and it's always like stupid little things that I shouldn't get angry about. Um, but I feel like mine is just all these emotions that I can't control, and just they get so I would say my downward spiral is, I get angrier, I get more depressed. It's n- you know, instead of just start, oh, I'm angry and now I'm this and then I'm this.
right.
No, I am all of those things. I am just getting worse.
Yeah, because I start out a lot of those things anyway. I'm never 100%, so there's already probably a small amount of depression, of anxiety. It's
Well, yeah.
more,
What was
I can function a
um
little better.
I think it was more towards the bottom. It says like insecurity. Dude, I'm insecure 24/7
Yes,
about
exactly.
everything.
Hmm.
I, so I don't.
And I think that's why maybe just those with an already, mental diagnosis, that we go quick because we're already like teetering on all of them, the discouragement, worry. I worry 24/7. Have gone through
Worthlessness.
so much disappointment the past 8 years. What are you doing? My pug is going nuts. Anger, revenge, all of these things on a daily basis I could feel throughout the day.
Mhm.
Does that mean I'm spiraling? Um, or or is that just me? Or I don't, that's why it's a little confusing, to me, because I do feel these things all the time. I'll feel them, and then I go again, like I said, right to the bottom, where that's where you get into the self-harm. That's where you get into the all the bad thinking about taking yourself, unaliving yourself, I think is what everybody is saying now.
Yeah.
So it
To
doesn't
avoid
get,
a ban.
yeah.
Girl, same. I don't know to which part that was, but yes. Um, maybe it was everything. Oh,
uh,
I think it was maybe the insecurity, like I'm insecure towards
oh
myself.
yes, yeah.
But I thought it was interesting reading about the actual changes constant spiraling can have on you. So it was saying how each spiral kind of next makes the next one even worse.
Yeah.
So they said it's like your brain is carving deeper and deeper grooves into well-worn paths of negative thinking. So it makes it even easier for you to get, to me, I would say, the bottom quicker.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, we know where we're going. Just shoot
Mm-hmm.
them down.
Buckle up. No, that's
Because I mean, if you're constantly spiraling, eventually one day you have that day where you just like explode. Because something has
yeah.
to give. You can't live your life in a downward spiral, even though, maybe a few days, a month, you know, but you can't have every day, every in a spiral, because eventually you won't have you won't be you. You will have probably unalived by then.
Yes.
Acrophobic for 25 years. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so what do we
And
do,
it
Otis?
is what
What do we do? How do we get out?
well, there are a lot of ways that we can help either stop it before it starts. I know myself, I can feel it almost instantly, whether it's that one thought that triggers it or when I can feel it instantly. So there's ways that we can stop it. There's ways that we can get and intervene it. Number one on the list, and this was probably the hardest for me, uh, is to stay in the moment with some mindfulness. And this also helps with
What
those negative intrusive thoughts. What's
I
that?
don't I don't think I completely understand that. Stay in the moment,
Yeah, with mindfulness.
mindfulness.
Hmm.
I don't Am I just stupid? I really don't understand. So, like, are they talking about just like you just stay mindful to how you're acting and thinking? Is that what they're trying to say?
Well, what it's saying is mindfulness is about being present and fully engaged with the here and now without being overwhelmed by your thoughts. But if you're already overwhelmed by your thoughts,
That's my
uh,
reality.
right, mindfulness techniques would be meditation, deep breathing, mindful
See, when I hear
observation.
mindful,
Hmm.
I'm thinking understanding, aware of.
Yeah,
But I
no,
guess they're talking about things to kind of relax. Is that because it's
yeah,
what is it?
yeah,
So
basically,
I
yeah.
think I'm looking at it on the wrong side of the spectrum.
Okay.
So
Y-
once you started
Uh,
giving those examples, I was like, eh.
Right. It's basically, to you calm down, you know, through meditation, you stay in the moment, you try to as it says, calm your nervous system. And this takes a lot of practice. But you can, as deep as those grooves are being made in our brain with all of these negative thoughts and maladaptive behaviors, those we can pave over that and make our new grooves of a, you know, more resilient react or response to negative thinking. This next one I have a little bit of an issue with. Number 2 on this list is shake it off. What?
What were we, Taylor Swift?
When you're feeling down, get up and get moving. Okay, exercise.
How many song titles are we gonna? Isn't that from a song?
I don't know.
Come
Well, I
on, get
definitely don't know.
happy. What was that? The Partridge Family?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh my God, you brought up the Partridge Family.
But do you know the song I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm
The,
not
the
making
Partridge
things
Family
up.
theme. I
Okay.
think.
I was like starting to really think I was making stuff up in my head for
Come
a
on,
second
get
there.
happy. This one, shake it off, kind of threw me off. But what they mean is, you know, exercise. It releases them feel good chemicals. It can turn your mood around. Doesn't have to be a marathon. Even a quick dance in your living room can help you get out of your head.
But you know what? Like, I know it wasn't dancing or anything like that, but the other day I knew you were in a very bad place, and I texted you asking you what are your top 5 favorite memories with Jody.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you caught on to what I was doing, um, because I was waiting for you to be like, where the fuck did that come from?
I thought that
But I was like,
numerous
maybe
times,
if
but
I
I'm
can
like,
get
okay,
him,
I'll play along.
I was like, oh, if I can get him to think of something else than being, depressed, that maybe it would help.
And it did help, and it was, you know, simple things just to get that person out of their head just for a minute can start you spiraling upward. And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit as well.
After this commercial break,
After
just
we'll be right
kidding.
back in 2 and 2.
If we had
Um,
sponsors, we could do that. But
I know, right?
who would you even get to
Um,
sponsor a mental health podcast like Celexa? Zola?
well, how about
Get
Alexa
all
Pro?
the
I'm on that, so
yeah.
I don't even know where mine's at. Oh, here it is.
Coming from you from 350 milligrams. But yes. How do we get on the upward swing?
Let's see. Well, number 3 on this list is learn something new. Engaging your brain in a skill or hobby can be a fantastic way to get out of your head.
Or
And
be
as I
exhausted
mentioned
from.
in the beginning, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is kind of like therapy for me. It gets me out of my head sitting idle, and
Yeah, I was hoping that, this would help both of us because I know how important it is to us. And the fact that we haven't been on for 6 weeks.
it's been a minute for sure.
Even though we're bi-weekly, but I don't know. I feel like, and again, this may be like in truth of thoughts or whatever, or I think we're more popular than we are. I was like, oh my God, we're letting so many people down. But, even letting down one person feels bad enough. So,
Yeah, no, it really does. Um, Journaling is next on the list.
hello.
You ever done some journaling? Do you do that?
Um, I don't necessarily journal. I used to do a lot of poetry. I would write a
Mhm.
lot of poetry.
I did too, actually.
But now and this was like the last time I actually think I like sat down and like wrote something instead of just like little notes to put together later. I'd actually, um, I had decided to write a short story about my fun little trip that included some awesome socks. Um, and I started writing that down, and it felt like a journal because I was just writing down my feelings and what had happened. It kind of just turned into like a stream of consciousness piece of writing, but
Hmm.
I I think if in the moment I could sit down and write, I honestly don't know if I would know what to write. I think about when I'm in those moods and I think back to I don't know if you were a Linkin Park fan.
Hmm.
Um, the Somewhere I Belong music
Hmm.
video, and it's the notebook with nothing and everything. I feel like that's what it would end up being for me if I tried to journal in that mindset.
I never did any journaling. Um, I've always I've always been, told you should journal. Anytime I, talk to a therapist, whatever, journal, whatever. I don't know. I did that with my dreams years ago, about 30 years ago. I would, wake up and hurry up and write down what my dream was before I forgot it. But yeah, from a mental health standpoint and coping, never. No, I haven't done it. Um, Next on the list would be being grateful, counting your blessings.
Hello.
I've Go ahead.
Oh no, I was putting up the comment saying hello.
Oh, hello from
Sorry.
North. Um, so counting your blessings, I've taken, and it occurred to me, my God, man, this has been a horrible year. I'm living in the moment. And it's kind of crazy when I look back through my life and all the bullshit that I got through. That's been helping lately. Whereas before it'd be like, well, I shouldn't have gone through the bullshit in the first place. I mean, I argue with myself in my head.
So I feel like I'm on the opposite side of that spectrum because I I do this all the time. I do count my blessings and I'm like, I have a roof over my head. I have food in my fridge. Have a little bit in the bank. Like like physically, I'm healthy-ish, like all these things. And I start to feel so guilty.
Mm.
Um, because
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
can
there's people that are going through so much worse. Like, what right do I have to,
minimizing your own
yeah.
your own trauma and whatnot. Yeah, journaling has been my go-to in the past. It's worked well for me, and I was literally thinking today how I need to get back into it. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I mean,
this is your sign.
this is your sign.
Oh, here's your sign. Very
Here's your sign, right?
bilingual.
Oh man. Um, Another way is chatting it out, expressing your feelings.
Oh, we're
We're
chit
kind
chatting right
we're
now.
kind of doing that now, and that's why it's important to check up on your friends. You may catch them on a downward spiral, and may be able to help, not even realizing. Just hey, how you been? Haven't talked to you, or how's things going? That could open the door to them opening up and expressing how they feel and what they're going through. And, just having, I made a little post. It's sometimes offering your ear and a shoulder might be better than offering a solution.
I would rather listen to you than have to carry like be one of the six that I've always heard that one. You know, I I'd rather be there for you or be the one. instead of being one of the 6 that carries you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
it's such a shitty feeling, so I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah, it is a shitty feeling. Um,
A lot of comments tonight. We love it.
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Next, try to refrain from the negative thoughts. I think we'll just skip over that one.
Yeah, can anybody really like does anybody do that?
Limit your exposure to negative input.
I don't know about you, but when I am in my deeps of deeps, I have a depression playlist.
I listen
And
to
it's this
certain
like saddest
songs.
songs and probably the
Mhm.
worst songs that you should be listening to when you are in that mindset. But
Yeah,
that's if I'm in the mindset, that's the playlist that I put on.
I absolutely do that, and I think we discussed that when we did our music
Yes,
episode. Yeah, I do the
which you
same
can
thing
find on
since
our YouTube channel.
that's right. Dred the Stigma podcast on YouTube. Refrain from negative thoughts in this economy. I get it.
That's funny. That is funny.
um, but no, I do,
Oh,
and
so depression playlists are definitely a thing.
they're a thing. I really do. I'm one of those that will listen to songs that other people be like, "This is probably not good music for you to listen to right now," and I'm
No.
like, "No, this will get me out of it." It sometimes like snaps me
If
out of
they're
it.
singing about it, it means they've gone through it too.
I
So
think so.
I'm not alone. And
Yeah,
I feel like I have it gives me a little bit sad to say a um the confidence that you know what? I have the right to be upset. Other people feel this way. I have that right too, you know.
yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Since that music
Hello.
episode, good evening. Since that music episode, I've been turned on to some new bands thanks to
Oh,
um
you got it right. Oh, see, I always get it.
I got it right.
I
Yeah.
always get it wrong.
Citizen Soldier is one of my favorites and one that I go to a lot, and even when I'm in a good mood. But yes,
Yeah.
definitely when I'm down, I go to that one, and yeah, I mean they have.
I think did I get you into Bad Flower?
I'd already
Oh,
listened to them a little bit.
the I'm
You,
Sick album, man. Yeah, that I think that whole album is probably on my depression playlist.
wow. See, we aren't alone, it's not just a saying. Um, and the last on this list, perfect timings. We got about 7, 8 minutes left.
This is exactly what I was talking about as I try
Sneak a routine. What is it? It's almost a validation in the way. Yeah, exactly. No,
it is very hard,
it
yes.
yes. And that's why, I love these comments,
I
It's
wish I knew
hard.
who everybody was. If you're not like if you don't agree to StreamYard putting your name, then it just says Facebook user to
Yeah.
us. So um, I wish I knew who was commenting, but I'm sorry I cut you off.
Oh no, you're fine. Getting in a routine can definitely help stability. Um, and
I know
I,
I've
I,
been
I
trying to get into more of a routine. Because everybody's like, oh, working out is going to help your mental health. So I was trying to go to the gym, like every morning about the same time. I was trying to make that my routine. And then it's like, if I get off of it for one day, I'm like, I'm never getting back on that routine.
oh yeah, I have a hard enough time starting a routine. My only routine right now is going to work. It's about the only routine I have. Um, Facebook user was
So
recently
that's
diagnosed
I'm
with
sorry,
PTSD.
Kyle. I can see who's commenting on my page. So
Oh,
Chandra's been in here. Kyle, who just commented, JD, and Charles. Thank you.
thank you guys.
So Kyle, I'm sorry that you got diagnosed with that.
The Kyle Pearson?
I'm sorry, what?
Is Kyle's last name Pearson? Is it Kyle
No, it's
Pearson? No, a different
Merriman.
Kyle. Oh, okay. Um, as we come to a close, there is an upward spiral. We live in a duality: black, white, good, evil.
As above, so below.
As above, so below. So at the bottom, where we were once depressed, insecure, feeling worthless, we find contentment somewhere, hopefully from one of the ways that we just went through. And you may have to seek a therapist for CBT. I want to throw that out there. That has been widely used to help kind of retrain your brain to get out of those ruts. So you get to then hopefulness is, comes up. Then you get a little bit of optimism, and I can see myself going through all of these, because then I get almost a manic optimism where I'm so like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. Oh, I can't wait, rah rah rah. And then I know after a couple of days of being like that, I'm dropping.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's almost like
Positive
being
expectation.
happy is exhausting.
It is. I don't know how
And then
people
I'm like,
do it.
is that just how depressed people feel? Or do people that are generally happy just like, man, I'm so exhausted, but they don't know why? It's just because they're happy.
Hmm.
Sorry.
No,
Tangent.
that was very thought provoking. um,
I threw him off.
You really did. I'm looking around like I'm busy and I'm
I'm
just trying to
sorry.
kill time to no, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, we were going back up. We were going
Yeah,
back up.
yeah. That's right. Okay. Enthusiasm, that's what I was just talking about, almost to the point of a I guess an upward manic episode. Passion following next, and then joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, and appreciation at the top. I don't know, as we mentioned, I don't know. I usually hang out, I guess. I don't know. I never really feel all that much joy and all of that at the top of that upward
Yeah.
spiral. So I'm
I
already,
think my mind has conditioned itself not to make it to that step
yeah,
because if I if I were in that step, I would constantly be just like waiting for what's going to happen. It's about to
yeah,
happen. Like,
yep.
why did you even let me feel this if you were just going to take it away?
No, absolutely. I anytime that I'm in a good mood, the back of my head, I'm waiting. All right, when's this boot gonna drop? When is it coming? What's gonna happen? That starts my overthinking. That starts my anxiety. And then that is usually where the spiraling starts. So, class, what have we learned today? Well, I think we learned
Otis is a
that
very good teacher.
I'm a very good
I
teacher.
think you did very well this episode.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Not that you don't do well every episode, but like today, it was very.
I
I
had my
really
day. I
felt
was in
it.
a groove kind
Yeah.
of today. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. We had a lot of good comments, as you mentioned. Shonda was in here. Kyle. I can't remember everybody else. You guys know who you are. Thank you. But what did we learn today, class? Spiraling sucks, but there are ways to stop it, to intervene, and we went through that this evening. And my Wi-Fi made it. Woo! Yes. Thank you,
Yay.
Wi-Fi. This is the first time it's worked in very well in a long time. So thank you guys. Thank you, Lydia, as always.
No,
And
thank you.
with our schedule, all I can say right now is get on over there to the YouTube channel, subscribe so you'll be notified, because the scheduling is going to be a little rocky. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Would love to get back on a regular schedule, but there's just a lot of busy stuff going on behind the scenes. So, and we don't want to burn ourselves out. You know, overwhelming is something I do very, very well. Take on so much, and then
It's like you have to
just
I have to
go.
prove to myself I can handle all this stuff, and then when I can't handle that stuff, I'm like, "Oh my god, why did I even think I could?" This is,
Oh,
thank you,
thank you,
Shonda.
thank you, Sean. Um, so go to the YouTube channel, subscribe. You can
We
go
will
over to
try to
our
be better about posting content.
yeah. I've been trying to do a little
I
bit
know, I
here
see
and
your
there.
shorts and stuff, and I'm like, I'm proud of you for, taking the initiative to keep us going.
I'm trying. I'm trying to keep it together. And our Facebook page, you
Yep.
can go over there and
Share it
so
so other people can
hard and
join us.
wide. Yeah. It doesn't cost you a penny.
Just a second
Um,
of your time.
that's right. So get over there, follow us, subscribe, and that'll keep you in the loop when we do decide to go live next. I am going to try to keep a little content going over there on the YouTube page. So we'll see how that goes. Any last words for you, Lydia? On spiraling, on
Um,
anything?
I just hope that whoever is going into a spiral, that you don't go too deep and you don't, oh my God, that's what she said. Um, I hope your downward spiral does not take over your life, and I hope it is short lived. That is my more appropriate thing to say. As soon as I started saying this, I was like, oh my God. I was like, why did I say that?
Yeah, you were opening the floodgates on that one.
And I don't
Uh,
want to make a joke out of, what we say. So,
well, yeah, it's
but we have,
serious and it's
we have disturbed humor. So,
dark humor. But I have nothing to add to that. We will see you guys hopefully soon. Be safe and remember, if you are in a crisis, 988, text, chat. I've used it. It works. We'll see you soon.